can play with perspective to make me seem a bit bigger.
Yeah.
Next to a Dutch person,
I will
I'm a
go
pygmy.
to the back.
Yeah, you go on the other side of the room.
All right.
How's that?
Okay. Let's start.
Mm-hmm.
So, welcome in my home.
Thank you.
Yeah, it feels a little bit strange to have you here because normally we only met in the Bikram yoga studio, and you're my yoga teacher.
Yeah, and we're both dressed, fully dressed.
And now we're fully dressed. Normally I only have a small swimming short, and you also. Oh, and I really love to have you here because you're so amazing. As a teacher, you are very how do you say that in English? You bring a lot of humor. Well, you are really forcing us to the edge.
Yeah.
So it's always very nice to be in your trainings or yoga lesson.
Yeah.
Lesson?
Classes.
Classes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yoga classes. And what really was a surprise for me that I heard that you were going to fast, and now I'm not sure, but I thought 30 days?
21 days.
21 days.
Yeah, because I had to come back to work.
3 weeks.
Yeah.
That's maybe why I thought.
It felt like 30 days.
I thought, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And also because you're already not a very
I'm a slim,
big.
Yes, I'm a slim
person.
Yes.
Yeah. And I've seen you after the 21 days.
Yes. Yeah.
And then it was even less.
Yeah.
But now you're looking good.
Yeah, I put on a bit of weight again.
Okay.
Get back to normal. Yeah.
Well, I was just interested, and I'm interested because you told me that I thought you told me that in Russian culture it's quite normal.
Yeah.
And that is normally a very healthy thing to do.
Yeah, very much.
And I have Lyme disease, and I still not cured, and I think it's almost 15 years in my body. And I'm going to a doctor, and he's helping me a lot, but the last part is difficult. And I know that I have a lot of troubles with my stomach, and I think it's my bowels, I think.
Yeah.
So a lot of gastric things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that must be with food. And when I eat, I always eat fast.
Okay. Yeah. It's a different type of fast.
And of course, food is everywhere.
Yeah.
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 So that's why, Nick, I was interested, and I wanted to know more about it, because I think maybe there's for me a message.
Yeah.
So I really am interested your whole story, in fact, how you came to this, but also maybe it's good to know you a little bit better, because you're a yoga teacher, but you haven't always been a one.
No.
So I'm interested. Where can we start?
Okay.
Can you make a short
a summary of my life?
summary of your life?
So, so childhood was a broken family. It was traumatic, a lot of abuse, and I was separated from my mother and father when I was 3. And then my father married a young 18-year-old girl, and they got married, and so I went to live with them, and she was 18, he was in his early 20s, so they were kids, damaged children themselves. So it the cycle continues. So I came into adulthood with a lot of, I was a mess. I didn't realize it. At the time, it was like, why are my brothers and sisters so messed up and I'm not? Yeah, so I was a bit blind.
Of course, that's
Because
what you start doing.
yeah. So my strategy had been to try and be perfect, just to like a robot. I can do anything. I can figure out how life is, and I can be successful here. I can do this, not connecting to any feelings or anything, you know. So around my 29th birthday, it all came crashing down. I had a 3-year period of, at the time I labelled as depression. Now I think depression is just a symptom in a bigger picture. But it helps the medical establishment give us drugs.
What age was that?
That was 29.
I have to see. It's all okay. It's all okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So 29, and around that time, I'd been working as a cinema projectionist for years, and then I signed a record deal, became a recording artist for a few years. So I'd found love. I'd found success in music, critical success certainly. So I had what I wanted in life. But I wasn't happy at all. Something wasn't quite right. And I think falling in love had cracked something open in me, and it just came crashing down. So since then, really.
So your armor was.
Yeah, it was kind of like Pandora's box. It opened a bit, and then it's been kind of non-stop since then. At that time, I got rid of everything. I went off traveling for a year to really get to know myself.
How old are you now?
I'm 47 now.
47.
Yeah.
Right.
So who am I out of the context of this life I'd created? And that was a really enlightening experience for me, getting to know myself.
Yeah.
And I did recover. Things did get a lot better for me, beyond anything I could have imagined. And then a few years ago, 3.5 years ago now, after another deep love affair, coincidentally, it all started to go wrong again. The burnout symptoms started to appear. And at first I kind of didn't take them seriously, ignored them, because I put so much pressure on myself as an individual. There's so much I have to do in life, so much judgment, so much self-judgment that I'd taken in from outside, all the media and social rules we have. You have to do this. Certain rules as a man, you have to be successful and achieve and create a home, a family, and all this stuff. So that kind of was difficult, having all that pressure on myself and listening to my body. My body was screaming at me to stop pushing yourself, slow down. And so it eventually got to the point where I had no choice. I could barely even walk to the store to get food. So.
What were you doing at that time?
I was teaching yoga at that time.
You were already teaching
yoga.
When did that start?
When did the yoga teaching start? That started after. That started 7.5 years ago now. Yeah. So again, I had another period where I got rid of everything, sold, gave away, trashed everything I had pretty much, and just went off to LA and trained with Bikram to be a Bikram yoga teacher.
Because you lived in
I lived in the UK then, And I had this deep desire to want to do something positive, something that benefited other people in a way, because when I look at the world today, I see a mess. It's kind of insane to me what's happening. Everyone's caught up in this wheel of life, this circle of life, and surviving and looking after their families. That we don't question so much, or it doesn't appear that we question so much. What's going on here? Is this the best we can do? So I became a yoga teacher, and I love that. I feel I have more to give, but I do love that. Very much so. It's something I can
see that.
Because I get to help people, and if anything, this journey I've had of struggle, of overcoming trauma, of getting to know the person I am from the perspective of, okay, I've got this mind that has all these thoughts, I have this body, physical body that has issues and limitations, and I have a lot of emotional stuff that goes on, a lot of old trauma, and it, you know, when you look into things, we carry patterns and trauma that go back all through our family line. It just gets passed on. So learning to be with that and observe that and really get a deeper understanding of what it is to be a human in this 21st century.
Did that help you a lot, the yoga?
Yeah, the yoga definitely, The yoga gave me a really good foundation. It was the first thing I did where, I remember when I first started it, and I remember describing it to people as it's like taking a positivity pill each day. I could really feel the difference. From there, it gave me a really strong foundation to go on and do even deeper work in Tantra. So I did 5 years of intense, again, I don't do anything by halves. I do so really intense, challenging Tantra work. I challenged all the things I struggled with and all my beliefs and almost fell apart in the process. Where, you know, so...
What do you mean by fell apart?
Well, we construct these ideas of, well, okay, so
you got a completely other idea of yourself.
And life, it made me, again, it really made me question everything. It forced me to.
Is Tantra so deep? Is that much deeper than yoga? Okay, I don't know, I have no experience.
Yeah, because it basically because a lot of, you know, certainly Western Tantra, there's a lot of focus on sexuality.
Yeah.
And sexuality, there's such a vulnerability there. If you dare to really open up and explore yourself as a sexual creature, to me it's like one of the deepest levels of who we are. Very connected to the spiritual.
We don't talk about sexuality.
No, this is it. There's so much shame around sexuality.
Yeah. I have a nephew of us whose girlfriend is now, she wants to go study sexuology, and he really doesn't like it because it's coming too close for him. Yeah,
because we really have to look at ourselves, because it is the core, and it's so intimately connected to the spiritual as well. I had so many just spiritual experiences that just like blew my mind. Like, what the hell's going on here? When you have experiences like that, that if I shared them with you, I'd think I was crazy, or, you know, it's just beyond what you imagine is possible. So Tantra really shook my world quite a lot. And also in my childhood there was a lot of sexual stuff as well. There was a lot of damage. I really struggled most of my adult life. I wasn't able to interact sexually with others. I was so crippled by shame.
So for you it was really necessary to go there.
I had no choice. I had to face my demons. Maybe not quite so aggressively.
So I wasn't abused in my youth, so I have a reason not to go there. Because I think I don't need it.
This is it.
But maybe it would be interesting for me to go there too.
Most definitely. In a way, I feel lucky for the journey I've had, because it started a momentum. Things were so bad.
You go through so much personal growth. Through all the troubles you had in your
I had
childhood.
no choice. But certainly everyone would benefit from, you know, looking at themselves and opening up sexually. The same as everyone would benefit from fasting. You know? It's it's not necessarily something I recommend for everyone, but certainly everyone would benefit from it.
So now we're there at the topic that we were going to talk about, fasting. So tell me, the 21 days, how did you go before you made that decision? What were your thoughts?
So, as I said, I started to experience this burnout. So I started looking into everything around health, nutrition, and even the water we drink from the taps. Every possibility I could find to improve my health, to get a deep understanding of my body, my health, how it functions. And I'd always been aware, well, I say always, since I've been a yoga teacher, I guess, I've been aware of fasting, but not necessarily water fasting. When I became a yoga teacher, I started to hear about this cleanse fast, where you have lemon juice and salt and some papaya juice or something. And they drink that, which is different because you're still putting calories into your body. But I'm always skeptical about things, you know. I always want to get to the deepest understanding of it before I explore it, really. So I've been open to discovering more about fasting. Is it a good thing for the body? I just heard people doing it. And then I came across one of the doctors that I respected through the nutritional world of nutrition. He was talking about it in a positive light, and he'd done this talk on it. And through him, I discovered he worked for a center in the US, I think Santa Monica, called True North. And they are probably one of the world's, if not the world's, biggest fasting center currently. And they're a non-profit organization run by a guy called Dr. Alan Goldhammer. It's a non-profit organization that is doing a lot of scientific research into fasting, as well as having patients. So they have people come and stay with them with various issues. They do a water fast, so just water for periods, depending on what they're trying to deal with. And their success rate is through the roof. So...
What kind of success rate do you mean?
Well...
what are the results and what people go there?
Okay, so people go there for a number of issues. It's such a big subject. So fasting, I guess, in order to... We live in an age where there's so much sickness. It's almost normal that people get sick with, especially terminal diseases, you know, cancer, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, heart disease, all kinds of diseases these days, which are relatively new. When you look back at older records, these diseases weren't really around. But these days we eat like kings. You know, we eat the diet that the aristocracy would have eaten. So we're all suffering from all these diseases, and we're putting all these pharmaceutical drugs in our body, which are toxic. They're just treating a symptom. And it's like damming a river. It's not just the river that's affected, it's the whole environment around the river that's affected, and it upsets the whole eco-balance of the area. So...
yeah, that's nicely put. Because we look at it on a different way, yeah. We are brought up with the things that we can arrange things, that sickness we can kill easily.
Yeah.
And we make more of it, and we think of more. My sister, she's working in a drug American big pharmacy things. I can't talk about her because she if I go to a person who talks a little bit strange or is not scientific, then she just doesn't trust it.
Yeah.
And she's very strict in it.
Yeah.
I think it's unbelievable that people are so strict in not looking in or not believing in things that are not scientific. I think it's unbelievable.
Well, we're so invested in all of these beliefs because our whole system, our whole life's invested in them. We do jobs that you know, like
it's about money.
Yeah, exactly. It's about survival.
Yeah.
So it taps into our very basic instinct for survival. So we defend our beliefs to the death.
It's also if you talk about money, money rules the world in this case. Also about our health.
Yeah.
Money isn't that healthy.
No. It's kind of a mess. So.
So just go on. I was just trying to summarize it and put it in even a broader perspective. But you were telling about that our nature, our body, is a system itself, and now we go to the book.
Yeah.
I don't know the name of the book. What was
So
it?
the book is The Science and Fine Art of Fasting.
Yeah, and the science and fine art of fasting. It just keeps recording on. Again,
The Science
science.
and Fine Art of Fasting.
It says science.
yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and when I read the book, I start more. I start even believe more in the power of our body.
Yeah, this is it. That was the big thing I experienced.
Yeah,
It made me, because we grew up with this paradigm of modern medical approach to healing. It seems weird saying those words now because it's not really healing. And it's, you go to a doctor when you're sick. We don't really see anything outside of that. So to realize that the body wants to be healthy.
yeah,
The body is always working towards this balance, homeostasis, So, but we put so much in it that's toxic these days, and we have such access to an abundance of food these days, and it's all such good food, which kind of really makes our limbic system happy as Larry. There's so much fat, sugar, salt, all these things that before civilized kind of life we would have been searching for.
yeah,
And we would have gorged ourselves on it while it was available
yeah.
to store in our bodies. So
Now we see it everywhere.
and we're still slaves to our limbic system, our limbic brain.
Yeah. The limbic system is the old system here
Yeah.
at the back, not the front.
The prefrontal cortex.
Prefrontal.
Neocortex, So it was so interesting to have this kind of curtain pulled back on the way we eat. It's such a fundamental part of who we are as humans, eating. And it's almost like a hidden, because it's so normal to eat. It's almost like you can overeat quite easily, especially someone like me, because I don't put on weight. I've eaten a huge amount of food in my life, and I was aware that there's something emotional driving that. It wasn't a healthy.
That's interesting. There's a connection between emotion and food.
Exactly. So when you look at the way we live these days, there's so much disconnection. We're so tied up in this lifestyle, having to work. It's not very nourishing to us as humans, and and I think we suffer because of that. And so we drink, we smoke, we do all those things. We distract ourselves with Facebook and the internet, YouTube, all these things to numb ourselves, to anesthetize ourselves to the pain of this existence we have. We have more comfort than we've ever experienced as a species, probably, but we've paid a huge price for that comfort. And so food is one of, everyone knows drinking really is bad for you, smoking is bad for you, but people still do it. But food, it's one of the things, the sugary things we know are not so good for you, but...
You always, when you have a tough week or a tough day, always you can pleasure yourself with food or drink. But also everything goes through the mouth.
Exactly. It's like pushing down what we don't want to feel. It's like consuming it. I really feel like it pushes the feelings down. Because a lot of the emotional stuff I feel comes from down in the belly. And when we fill up the belly with food, we don't have to feel that so much. Just sit back and watch a movie,
Well, it's interesting about these emotions that we eat away and that we keep down here, you say. So maybe for me it's interesting because I have troubles here. Maybe I should show more emotions. I don't know. People don't like that kind of direct connection between those things. I don't know if it's true, but I was just thinking about it.
Well, there's so much going on in the belly, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could have a whole nother talk about just the belly. There are more bacteria in the belly than there are cells in the human body.
Yeah.
You know, and our gut biome is more us than we think we are. It controls the way we think. It can control our actions. So we're a slave to our gut biome, and the way we the gut biome. Yeah, the flora, the natural bacteria of the belly. So the more things we put into the body that are unhealthy. So again, we come back to pharmaceutical drugs, antibacterial antibiotics, which are everywhere in the meat, in the water. That upsets the balance of our gut biome. Animal products it upsets the balance of the gut biome. Alcohol, coffee, tea, you know, all these things upset the gut biome. So that's another good thing about fasting. It allows the body to. So yeah, coming back to fasting, when you stop eating, your body uses the energy that it would normally use to digest food, which we are most of the time constantly digesting food. We have a short period of overnight where we don't eat, and for most people it is a short period because we work, we come home, we go to prepare food, we eat late, we get up, we got to eat breakfast in the morning before we go to work. So there's very few hours between eating and breaking the fast in the morning. So, and that is the period when the body rests and repairs. Yeah. So it doesn't get much time to do what it needs to do. And it's like it has this list of things that it has to, like repairing its house. Yeah. So when you fast, the body has a rest from digesting food constantly. So it goes into deep detox, deep rest and repair. And as you go through different stages of a water fast, that just gets deeper and deeper, the healing of the body.
Yeah, well, there we are. What's so amazing about the book? That's the power of the body, that it needs to have the time to digest all the food that we take in. And the more food we take in, the more emphasis we lay on this energy this body needs to digest it. And I wasn't aware of that because in the book he tells a lot of he's telling a lot about, for example, children. You have to feed them, give them much to eat. Also, if they're sick, they need to eat more because they're sick. They have to get strong. And in fact, they're doing contrary to what they're supposed to do because they don't believe that this is a necessary thing. Sickness and fever is also a strategy of the body to repair. And I think I was aware of that, but now that I read this book, I'm even more aware about the power of and the need of this time this body needs to digest and to repair itself. And also what I found amazing was the part of the autolysis. Do I spell? Because maybe you can explain about autolysis, because the book starts with a lot of examples of animals autolyzing, like the autopad. Do I say it right? Autopad? The frog. Crocodiles. Now that's not an example of autolysis, but the examples the book gives about this autolysis of the frog. Can you tell me something about that?
It depends on the word autolysis.
Autolysis.
I don't remember clearly what it means. Maybe is it the same as autophagy? Because it's an old book, there's a lot of old language in it.
Okay, what it says is that the tissues, the body is able to completely change when the is it autopet? What's the name of that small fish that becomes a frog? Topet.
Tadpole.
Tadpole.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. It changes completely.
Yeah, that was remarkable reading that. Yeah.
But it's an example of what nature is able to, and we are no frogs, but still there's a lot that the body is able to change things.
Yeah, completely. You know, a really good example of that is during the fasting, the whole metabolism of the body changes. So we no longer use glucose as the primary energy source, but we use stored fat within the body.
Yeah.
You know, we know that if you break a leg, the bones will, you know, as long as you cast it correctly, the bones will regenerate.
Yeah.
You know, I certainly believe the body is capable of so much.
Mm-hmm.
But when you read about nature in that book, like the caterpillar turning into the butterfly.
Yeah.
Now, we all know that the caterpillar turns into a butterfly, but what goes on within the chrysalis? And after reading that book, I was researching it, but I couldn't find anything. But it's like he says, it almost like it turns into goo. It eats itself, digests itself, and then regenerates into another being with different organs and glands and everything. When you read that, you really okay, nature is amazing.
Yeah.
So if we get out of the way, can the body do what it needs to do? We're interfering so much.
We interfere much too much.
Yeah.
Also, about another example is the pregnant women or salmons that fast when they have to do a lot of labor going through the river the other way up the river, or the bull seal they were talking about getting fat because he has to start fighting his enemies that want his own wives that he has conquered. And he needs all the fat he needs to, but he doesn't eat. He's fighting. All that season that he is to conquer to get his wives. So now I see that sometimes a body needs time. He needs all the energy to do some kind of work. And then it's better not to eat. Even athletes that fast before they do their match, where they have to be the best. And then he says in the book, sometimes it really works. They're much stronger after a fast.
Yeah, well,
and we think we're going to get very weak or we get sick.
Exactly.
Or we're afraid of that.
Yeah, well, that's popular culture tells us that if you don't eat, you can't even get our energy from the food.
Yeah.
But we get energy not just from the food. I've been exploring since this fast. I've been exploring intermittent fasting.
Yeah.
And so increasing this period of time overnight where I don't eat, and when you just eat within a short period, like a 6 to 9 hour window, it increases your endurance. So you get stronger. Your muscle mass increases, your fat decreases. Just by having this longer period from between the evening meal and the first meal of the day, breaking the fast the following day. The body goes through all these different changes just by having a longer period where the body gets to rest and repair and do what it needs to do.
Yeah.
It's really...
Yeah. I do intermittent fasting now. And I stop eating after dinner at night. So after 8 I don't take anything anymore, and then I skip the morning. So I have about 16 hours that I give rest to my body.
Good.
But I don't think it's very... In the morning it's easy for me. I think the evenings are difficult.
Yeah.
Because you've been through a whole day and you're want to relax, and then it's normal to eat. So I had to stop that. And also, I think I was thinking about. I thought after reading this book, I'm going to stop eating fast for about 7 days, but I haven't found the time. What time should I do it? And then I read the book, and it says, well, you should do it when you need it, and maybe the best time is in when it's warm. But how is your experience? Why did you do it? You did it in October?
I did it in September.
September.
Yeah. So yeah. So one of the things they say about fasting is the less you do when you fast, the deeper the benefits, the healing and the detoxification. And the deeper the healing, the more unpleasant it can be.
Yeah.
And the more unpleasant it is, the more you need it. So I not only did the fast, I kind of fasted from life. I didn't entertain myself in any way.
Yeah.
So I just lay on my sofa for 21 days.
Did you see people?
No. I was in isolation. All I saw was I've got a big window in my home, and I just looked out the window. So it was beautiful weather.
What kind of symptoms did you notice?
So for me, it was physically, emotionally, mentally. It was a journey and a half. I guess the most obvious was that I was so weak, which was not surprising considering I've been struggling with the burnout for 3.5 years. So that was the most obvious in my experience, and that's not generally what I hear other people experience. So even just getting a glass of water was a lot for me. Getting up and going to the toilet, I was so weak.
And after what time? How much after?
Oh, how quickly did I?
Yeah.
Did it? After a few days, I was.
Because I thought the first days you feel hunger, and after that it goes away.
Yeah, I wasn't hungry at all.
Not hungry.
You know, I missed food.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
And
there's also in the book hunger. We don't know the right word for hunger.
Yeah, that was one of the most fascinating things in the book for me, is this idea of between hunger and false appetite.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I wasn't hungry, but I had this false appetite. Then it became clear to me how much I'd been using food to anesthetize myself, to stop feeling emotions. It was like, because I removed food, took it off the table, you know, so to speak, literally, these 3 islands throughout every day where you're just focused on getting food, preparing food, eating food, and cleaning up. It's such a huge part of our day, a distraction, a major distraction. So when you take that away, I could really see how I'd relied on that in my life. So although I wasn't hungry, it was like I was in cold turkey. It was like I was coming off of a drug. So all the symptoms I experienced were kind of similar to that in a way. So much restlessness in my body, aches and pains would come different periods of different parts of my body for a couple of days maybe, and then disappear. For 2 days I had this pain in my heels where I could barely walk, and then it just disappeared. My shins, then it went into my shins, and that was super painful, and then that disappeared. And in my hip and my abdomen and the left side of my chest.
Well,
yeah, all sorts was going on in my body. It was
and how did you cope with that?
Oh, it was horrible. It was not easy.
No.
This was one of the most. I've done some challenging things in my life.
All right.
This was one of the most challenging things I've ever done.
Okay. Did you also have headache or fever or?
No, not. I didn't have sickness.
No.
No. Symptoms of dis-ease. I had symptoms of disease. I had symptoms of.
Now that you pronounce it, dis-ease.
Yeah.
Disease, but it's dis-ease. Ah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I learned some English. Okay.
Well,
Sorry.
it is pronounced disease.
Yeah,
But for me,
because you said
yeah,
disease,
that's it. Yeah,
no, I get it.
yeah. So it was like my body was healing and detoxifying, and as a child, because I'd had all this emotional
People
stuff.
that are afraid of fasting, they would stop. Right? That's but also in the book,
Yeah,
a lot of people are afraid.
it was scary.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was doing something that was against everything most people believe.
yeah.
I was really going out to the edge.
Mm.
It felt like I was going out to the desert for 40 days and 40 nights, and I was having to face the deepest, darkest parts of myself.
All right.
So even the night times were the worst.
Yeah.
Because
Did you sleep well?
no, you don't need to sleep so much because
Yeah, you're resting all the time.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. But the mind still wants to sleep. It's nighttime, so
Yeah.
you're there wanting to sleep, not being able to, and for some reason, the night times were the period where I felt the most restlessness in my body.
That's also a reason that we need so much sleep. Is food.
Yeah, yeah,
We eat too much.
exactly. Yeah, we get tired when we need to digest
Yeah,
that
yeah.
food. Yeah, coming back to the athletes.
Well, now I understand why I sleep less when I start intermittent fasting.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
There's something happening inside you.
One thing, I heard something interesting recently. Someone, maybe it was online, someone said, would you rather be like a hungry lion or a lion that's just eaten? Would you rather be out there in the world as a hungry lion or one that's just eaten? Well, I want to be sharp and alert and aware like a hungry lion. That hungry lion is a force to be reckoned with. But a lion that's just eaten is just,
A lion is sleeping 20 hours a day.
yeah, that's it. If he's just eating an antelope.
And then starts resting
Yeah,
again.
you don't want to be around a hungry lion.
No.
So that was a good perspective on food.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think our relationship to food is unhealthy for the most part as humans because of the abundance.
Yeah.
And that abundance is fairly new.
Yeah, that's the
In
message
the history of
that's
humans.
the message of this, of course. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Would you so you didn't have it was terrifying. You were fasting.
Well, I wouldn't say terrifying. I certainly woke up terrified one night. Like, what am I doing? I was really like scared. And it was scary, especially as I was on my own. And
Why didn't you ask somebody to come and visit you just to see how you are?
yeah, because I think because I didn't want other people to project their fear onto me. Because dealing with everything I had to deal with in myself was enough. And I think other people, it would have scared people because it's so outside of the norm.
Yeah.
And as you said, I'm a slim guy.
Yeah.
So I became like a prisoner of war. I didn't imagine I could have got thinner.
But this should have that should feel very lonely. If you try to do something that is good, and you can't let people get into your life because they wouldn't.
Well, there are periods where who gets to have 21 days just to themselves?
Nobody.
With no distractions.
Yeah.
I'm someone who wants to get to know myself as deep as I can possibly get to know myself. I have enough awareness to know.
But doesn't it make you lonely? Doesn't it make you feel lonely?
At the time,
Yeah, at the time.
it's certainly, human interaction would have been distraction.
You were so dedicated.
Yeah, it was a challenge.
Yeah.
It was something I'd committed to, and it was a practice.
Yeah.
It was something that I'd.
So you must have a lot of self-confidence.
My mind doesn't really understand that.
No?
How do you see that? How do you see me as having self-confidence in that way? Or self-belief?
Well, you go your own way,
Yeah.
and you're quite front about it. You talk about it very openly. Well, you must think it's the right way to do, and I think it's well. I do a lot of trainings for people in leadership. They call it leadership, but I think this is kind of a leadership. Going through all this,
yeah. Like I say, there's a lot of things in life,
and then you have to have some kind of strength inside to do all this.
For whatever reason, I do.
Yeah.
And I don't know where it comes from. I can't take credit for it, but there's something inside of this being that is driving me on. And I'm grateful for that, because I could have quite easily been, on the streets, a drug addict, because of the pain and trauma I've had to carry.
Yeah.
So, I'm grateful. This being that I happen to be is someone that wants to explore.
Are you religious, or
I wouldn't say religious, but I've certainly had enough spiritual experiences, and by doing practices like this has deepened my awareness in such a way that even the nature of reality is something that I kind of explore through these kinds of practices. Really observing deep into myself and consciousness and what's around me, and what I feel in the connection to what's around me. So trying to experience life as deep as possible, and that's not easy, but that's what I long for. Especially as a human, I long for that deep connection to myself and that deep connection to others. And ultimately, I guess it's a deep connection to something even deeper that I long for. That, without, we can use the word God, but it's got a lot of connotations.
Yeah.
Whatever this is, I want to feel it as much as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess ultimately I want liberation from myself. The limits of my human.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, do you have any wishes in your life that you want to achieve, or are you really settled here?
So, when you say achieve, I don't feel a need anymore to be something, to try and achieve some kind of success in any kind of avenue. What I long for in life is to be able to serve others in a way, hopefully through the learning I've had from my journey, and to find as much peace and ease within myself as possible. So this journey, especially the last few years, has given me so much deeper acceptance of who I am, what I am, and the challenges that I carry as the being I am.
Yeah.
Okay, this is just who I am. Instead of fighting against it, I get a deeper acceptance. But I still, it's hard being human. It's hard being human and feeling as much as some of us do, So I long for deeper acceptance of myself in each moment and with everything that arises within that. And I long to be able to, like I say, help others in a way, find deeper connection to themselves and others, and this whole journey, even the fast, to find equilibrium, and we want that in all areas of our lives, really, this balance. And being a yoga teacher as well, it's all the same thing, finding balance. How do we be the best humans we can be, not through some kind of idea of achieving something, but as an individual, who are we supposed to be? Each of us, and why are we here? And what we all have different talents in different areas of our lives. Whether we're men, women, whatever, dogs, cats. It's so that's what I long for in the future.
Yeah.
But if that doesn't happen, acceptance is what really.
Yeah.
Because I have no idea how things are going to unfold.
Yeah.
The longer I live and further on this journey I travel, the less I feel that I really have any control over any of it. It seems like it's just something unfolding, a story unfolding. The people I meet, it's just chance meetings. I can think that I'm in control, but that just causes a lot of resistance within oneself, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you going to do it again, the fasting?
Yes, I would like to. I would like to. There's a part of me that doesn't want to, that's for sure. I feel... So yeah, I did 21 days because I had to recover and work again. I had to teach.
Was it before... first another question about this fasting. When you finished, did you gain weight fast?
No.
Did you lose a lot of weight?
Yeah, you lose about 500 grams a day, average.
Every day, or in the beginning more than at the end?
I think, certainly at the beginning more than at the end.
Yeah.
And for someone like me who's slim, that can be a bit less as well.
Yeah.
The body is smart. Sorry, what was the question again?
So, would you do it again?
Oh, yeah.
And so I wanted to know afterwards, how did you feel?
Yeah, so I would do it again. I'm happy I have the experience of the previous one now to do it again, because I was on my own and I've learnt a lot through doing that, and there's things I would probably do different. What I didn't expect was, so firstly, when you reintroduce food, it's a very slow reintroduction because the body hasn't, used that part of it for a while. So that's very important that you take that slowly. Yeah. So then obviously you put on weight slowly. So what has it been? A few months now, and I guess I'm almost back to what I was, maybe still a little bit less. So for the first few weeks afterwards, I felt amazing. Like life was different. It was like I was so here, and nothing mattered. It was like there was a playfulness within me, a joy within me, and such a deep love for myself in a way I'd never imagined. I looked like a prisoner of war, so I was not. I was not looking like any kind of idea that I feel I should have looked like.
Yeah.
Certainly, if I wanted to attract a woman or be attractive, certainly not. I didn't fit that bill. But I looked at myself and I felt love for myself, and I felt I was so creative. There was so much creativity pouring out of me. So that was incredible. Then it's like so much emotional stuff started to come up again. So I wasn't prepared for that. That has been the most challenging.
All right.
Yeah.
That wasn't in the book.
No, that wasn't in the book.
Yeah.
But like I said, again, we're all individuals. So this is why I don't recommend this to people, but I think it can benefit us all. Yeah. I recommend if you go to like a clinic or something, I certainly think that's wise. Yeah. But not everyone is me. Yeah. So I did it, but I don't know how wise it was.
I'm sorry. Someone is closing out the door. 53 we are.
So after 3 weeks, this emotional stuff started to come up. A lot of anger, sadness, fear, and of course, what do I go to? What do I turn to? Food. Yeah. But with such a deep awareness of the fact that I was turning to food. So I'd let go of so many of the distractions in life that I'd used in that 21 days. I was just lying there, just being myself. Wasn't reading or watching movies or any other distractions like that. So it was very clear that okay, now I'm turning to food. But can I kind of forgive myself instead of judging myself? because there's a lot worse things I could have turned to. So that's been a really challenging experience. Really having this deep awareness of the fact that I was using food, and how clear it was to me that I was using food to cope with what was coming up.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was unexpected, very unexpected.
So the next time you say, but what can you do about it? That part, because for me this is interesting. You say fasting is also about emotions, and I was only thinking about food and my body and helping my body getting healthy, because it doesn't make you healthy, of course, but it's one of the things that can help you.
Yeah.
But there's also an emotional part.
Yeah, I don't think you can separate the two.
No.
I don't think you can separate the mental, the emotional, and the physical. They're all so intimately connected, beyond anything we can imagine, I'm sure. So if I do it again, I would definitely make sure I have support because even just being able to share what one is feeling is to be seen in that without being judged or without someone trying to fix you or do therapy on you, that can be.
Are there any places in Holland
that do fasting?
Yeah.
Not to my knowledge. I know Germany has quite a fasting culture, but
I know some place but not for very long, and also with Klisma. Klister, enema they call it.
Oh yeah.
So they do it with water, but he doesn't recommend that, huh?
No.
This book doesn't recommend it. No.
Yeah, I didn't do that.
No. So you don't know any places in Holland?
Not in the Netherlands, no. Mm-hmm. Like I say, the main one that I know of, which is the most respected, is the True North Center in the US.
That's a long way.
Yeah, it is a long way, and it's expensive. It's not cheap. You know, it's because you're living with them and they're 24-hour care. And they don't have to feed you, so it's a good deal for them. But yeah, it's
Maybe
not.
It's a business model. I don't know.
That's it.
Yeah.
You know, they say this fasting knowledge has kind of not been around because no one makes money off of it. You can't make money off it, but they're making money off it. Sure.
Yeah. And this book, I didn't know, but you told me just an hour ago, is from 1930s.
Yeah, it's certainly an old book. This guy, he was around at the turn of the 20th century. Yeah. But at that time, you can imagine how difficult and challenging it was for him.
Yeah.
Even the True North Centre, they had an injunction against them, just through some kind of narrow-minded law enforcer. Yeah. And obviously they won. Yeah. That was thrown out of court. But back then, the establishment was so powerful. They were kind of like the middle upper classes. So this guy was up against so much for his beliefs. He could see the insanity of some of the crazy stuff they were doing. Yeah. And certainly you look at the medical establishment back then, some of the things they were doing we would consider crazy now. Yeah. So, what will we consider crazy about current medical practices when we look back in another 100 years? Yeah. It's the best. It has its moments where it's supportive and it's supportive, but we rely on it so much, and it's been so corrupted by money. Yeah, I believe.
Well, we live in an interesting time because a lot of things are changing. What was Irma's thing yesterday? She made a comparison with the Industrial Revolution. I don't know what. I think it has to do with insanity also. That people. Oh yeah, about burnout. That at that time, Industrial Revolution, there were also so many burnouts.
Okay, that's interesting.
And because we have this same now in this time, so it has something to do with the changing of the whole society.
Yeah, I'd certainly believe. Yeah, we're obviously still evolving as humans, and I believe we're going through a big shift as humans at this time. Yeah. So not only are we collapsing in burnouts, the whole system is collapsing. Yeah. Everything we believe we've lost
It
community.
just
we've lost
resembles in your
family.
body that the
Exactly.
yeah.
It's mirrored. Everything
Yeah.
is connected. It's all these different elements of life are so mirrored. It's I don't know what's going on here. It blows my mind, but there's something beyond anything we can comprehend.
Yeah.
But we're certainly going through an interesting time.
And it asks something of ourselves to really reflect on yourself, and I think it's important to do that.
Yeah.
So because I think we should stop this interview because we're almost an hour around. I think it's a good summarize this end that also this fasting is part of personal growth, I think. And I want to thank you for being such a voorbeeld in what's that in English?
Something good.
Why didn't you learn any Dutch?
Well, I'm learning, but I haven't learned this word. I learned the words.
Example.
Food words.
You're an example in personal growth on this path for me, and inspiring. And I hope it gives me something. So I'm going to try it on my own way. I'm doing intermittent fasting, and maybe when I'm at the right time, I will do it for a few days. I really want to also to teach myself in discipline, maybe only that. And I'm really curious about what's going to happen with me.
And that's it. It can be really powerful just to do it for a day.
Yeah.
2 days, 3 days. That's what I started with.
Yeah.
Because it's so. Even that, just stepping out of.
I think it's good to start with just 1 day or intermittent fasting, so you get used to what the energy it gives to your body. And so I think because I stepped into this, I'm more curious about more. Yeah. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. Well, it's been a pleasure.
See you in the yoga
In
class.
the hot room. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.